Hi, I'm Katie Kempner, and welcome to Perspectives here at Advertising Week. Perspectives is a series of inspiring conversations with remarkable working women who are leading busy and successful lives. And I think there may be no better example than my friend Shelley Zalis, who is the CEO of the Female Quotient and the founder of the Girls Lounge. Welcome.
First of all, I'm so excited to be here and being remarkable, especially from the most incredible Katie Kempner, is quite an honor. So thank you on every level, and I always love having conversations with you because you're just so real and you get right to it. So I appreciate that.
Well, we have so much to talk about. I don't know where even to start, but I think, I'd love to talk about what's going on at the Girls Lounge, but before we get into that, can we talk about the Female Quotient and what this company is and what you're doing with that?
Yeah, so the company is called the Female Quotient. The name came very simply from, first came the intelligence quotient, IQ, then came the emotional quotient, EQ, now comes the female quotient, FQ. And we are in the business of equality. And I just felt it was so important because I kind of got tired of hearing that diversity is good for business and we have the business case, and yet we're going backwards. Yeah. And the World Economic Forum publishes diversity equality reports on 144 countries. The US 2 years ago, I think, was in 28th place out of 144. Last year it was 45. So why the heck are we going backwards? And I think part of it is we just keep admiring the problems, talking about the problems, but not activating solutions for change. So I put this company together to really be in the business of equality. And underneath it are two pillars to date. We're about to launch a third, but pillar one is the Girls Lounge, which is really, we say we went from a moment to movement. I didn't mean to create it. And it is a place for women to connect, collaborate, and activate change together. And we've connected over 17,000 corporate women now through experiential pop-ups at conferences like Advertising Week, within corporations, but also on college campuses for recruiting. And then pillar two is called the equation, which is where we do all the solutions for change, creating next step solutions, men and women. It's a leadership issue, it's a culture issue. And it really is where the work gets done, because when you think about it, women didn't put ourselves in this situation. Right. Gender equality is not a female issue, it's a social and economic issue. So we collectively, we need to improve our culture. We need to close the wage gap. We need to eliminate bias. And we need to create a culture of care so that all people can thrive and succeed from entry level through board level.
So what does that take the shape of? Is that conferences or leadership series?
So at the World Economic Forum, we have equality lounges, not girls lounges. Girls Lounge, sorry, not sorry, is a space for women to really spend time together and discover their strengths and not hide them and bring femininity to the workplace. In the equation, we do equality boot camps. People say, why do I call them boot camps? And I said, because you got to get a quality fit. It takes practice. Yeah. It takes acknowledgement that you want to be more fit. And then you got to do the work. It doesn't just happen because you make that statement. So we do equality boot camps working with leaders on transformative next step change. We created a digital platform called the Modern Guide to Equality, where we interview, corporate leaders on best practice, and people can upload there, so we share with the industry. We created a movement with the ANA, my co-founder Gail Tifford from Unilever, called #SeeHer, with GEM scores, gender equality measures, so that we can measure advertising and television programming for how girls and women are portrayed.
Really?
Oh, it's been remarkable. I mean, Paul Pullman, CEO of Unilever, says you can't treasure what you can't measure. Well, now no one has excuses. You can measure equality for everything you do. So we've tested over 20,000 ads in the last year. We've tested top 200 TV shows and top cable shows that receive advertising. And it's creating measurable impact. Advertisers are now saying they want to move their advertising into programming that accurately and realistically portray girls and women. Money talks. And
Yeah.
so it's been really an amazing transformation, or even an amazing evolution from the Girls Lounge, which is this, home for women at big conferences, to all the solutions for change, that we're creating. And when you look at the workplace, the rules were written over 100 years ago by men for men, when women weren't really in the workplace.
Yeah.
So a lot of the issues are legacy issues, but if we wait for everything to catch up, McKinsey says it'll take, upwards of 118 years to realize gender parity in the C-suite. And if we get this right, on the flip side, we can add over $28 trillion to the global GDP by 2025. So
That's
what
amazing.
the hell is wrong with us?
That's amazing, and it's so. I think it's more important now than ever, because it seems like in the leadership of this country, and not to start talking about politics, we're stepping back, not going forward. So it sounds like it's a more important time. It is a more important time than ever.
Listen, change is scary,
Yeah.
and it requires not when everything is going ho hum. You dot some I's, you cross some T's, you call it a day. But when it's not working, you have to disrupt the system.
Yeah.
And you got to break some rules to create new ones. I always say, Katharine Hepburn says, if you obey the rules, you don't have any fun. And I think that the rules don't make sense. And so we got to get rid of the junk in the trunk to bring in new shit. And I think that's what it requires. And that's really scary.
Yeah.
And it starts at leadership. In the past, leaders were able to sweep that under the table, because no one measured it, no one monitored it, no one called anyone out.
Yeah.
But today, when companies are starting to showcase best practice, how they're closing the wage gap, like Mark Benioff at Salesforce, it's hard for companies to stay silent.
Yeah.
And they won't win. Millennials want to work for companies that want to make the world a better place. And those are the companies that are going to attract this digital next generation. Are companies that are truly pushing the envelope and not just, resting with their own rules, expecting them to be relevant forever.
Yeah. I'm just listening to you talk, and I was thinking a few things. One, that your research background has helped, with everything that you're doing. And two, people know, many people know you from the Girls Lounge. You've done that now with Michelle Obama and Oprah, and it's become such a huge phenomenon. But everything you've done, you do it in your own way, and it's extraordinarily successful. I just have to ask you, what motivates you?
I say when purpose meets passion, you're unstoppable. And I think it's really my personal journey that I never had a network of girlfriends that, we work together on owning our strengths and bringing that forward and giving me that confidence. I had to find that myself. Mm-hmm. And at this stage of my career, I want to give back with generosity what I did not have rising the ranks. And the most incredible thing for me, Katie, like you and I met through the Girls Lounge. I wouldn't have known you. We all have our silos, and I'm a researcher, and you're, the best communication expert. How would I have really met you? Here's a conference. I don't know how many, thousands of people are at this conference. I wouldn't meet you. If I did, I would, hi, nice to meet you, goodbye.
Yeah.
But really creating quality relationships, not based on your seniority, not based on your company, but just based on the fact that you're a fucking awesome woman that I want to know. And to have this kind of, sisterhood in business is so refreshing for me. I made new friends.
Yeah.
So for me, I know that it's helping so many of us. And the network, I told you there's over 17,000. And if I called any one of my girlfriends that I met through the Girls Lounge and said, can you help me? The answer would first be yes. And then they'd say, and what is it you need me to do?
Yeah.
And I know that. And it's changing our ecosystem. It's changing us, from being competitive with one another to understanding the power around the collaborative nature. And it makes conferences a hell of a lot more fun.
It definitely makes it more fun. But I think you're right, and I mentioned this to you before, and I mentioned it yesterday, and I don't want to talk about it too much, but I read this article in The Atlantic about women leaders being bullies and how women don't want to work for other women. And I can't believe that that's true, because that's not my experience at all.
My favorite expression is from Sarah Jessica Parker. Trying to be a man is a waste of a woman. So, you have plenty of female leaders. Just because you're a female leader doesn't mean you lead with femininity. There's the masculine and feminine styles of leadership. Masculine, assertive, decisive, competitive, aggressive, linear, analytic. We need those kind of leaders. Feminine leadership is collaborative, nurturing, empathetic, supportive. So it depends, and plenty of men have feminine qualities, and women have masculine qualities. But we never talk about, men being bossy and bitchy and not supportive.
That's true.
And so we're creating things that don't exist. But it is true. There are plenty of women that are not supportive of other women, mainly because there's such a scarcity of jobs in that C-suite. They don't want anyone else to be, at that level.
Yeah.
And so we want to undo that, because the truth is you get much further along when you are collaborative.
Yeah.
And we want to dispel that notion. But the more we keep talking about these bossy, bitchy women, and we don't talk about the bossy, bitchy men, we're going to keep perpetuating this nonsense, and I think we need a whole new lexicon and a whole new conversation that is positive, that is proactive, that talks about diversity of mindset, diversity of skill set, and not just about diversity of gender, race, and age.
No, I absolutely agree, which is one of the reasons I keep doing perspectives. So just to end, I like to ask this question. I've asked you before in different venues, but if there's one piece of advice that you could share with us that has helped guide you through your career, what is it?
I think be yourself and be confident with who you are. Mm-hmm. Oscar Wilde says, be yourself because everyone else is taken.
Right.
And I think that we all bring unique perspective to the workplace, and we are all necessary. We are all different, we're all necessary, and the combination of our differences makes us, whole and keeps making us better.
Yeah, that's terrific. Thank you, Shelley.
Thank you, Katie. Mwah.
And thank you. And if you want to see more of Shelley and I talking and definitely hear what she has to say, and you can make it to Miami on October 27th, join us at the Commonwealth Institute's annual luncheon. It's going to be terrific. And in the meantime, stay tuned for more perspectives. Thank you.
And if you ever want me to interview Katie, who's one of the most interesting people in the world, I'll do that too.
Done.